They would remind me of my worth when I forgot. But life has its own way of teaching lessons. And some of those lessons are written not in words, but in silence, in absence, in betrayal, and in disappointment. I remember once I had a dream so close to my heart. It was something I wanted so badly that I could feel it in my bones. I talked about it with people I trusted, people I loved, people I believed would stand with me. I told them every detail, every idea, every step. And instead of encouragement, I was met with skepticism. Instead of support, I was met with subtle doubt. They didn't say, "You can't do it," but they said it in other ways, with their tone, with their silence, with the way they looked at me like I was reaching too high, aiming too far. And that doubt, it seeped into my mind like slow poison. I started questioning myself. Was I too ambitious? Was I too hopeful? Maybe they were right. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should dream smaller. And slowly, the fire I had in me began to dim, not because I was incapable, but because I gave away something sacred to people who couldn't hold it. And that's when I understood something very important. Not every ear that listens is a heart that understands. Not every smile is genuine. And not every soul that walks beside you is meant to walk all the way. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do to your dream is to expose it too early, too openly, to people who have done the inner work to believe in possibilities, especially not yours. When we speak too soon, when we speak to the wrong people, we open the door not just to opinions, but to energy. And energy is powerful. Words are powerful. Doubt has a way of dressing itself in concern. And fear, fear has a way of sounding like love when it comes from the people we care about. You share your plan and someone says, "Are you sure?" You share your idea and someone says, "That's difficult." You share your dream and someone says, "What if it doesn't work?" And just like that, you start thinking less about your purpose and more about their approval. Less about what's possible and more about what's comfortable. Less about the fire inside you and more about their fear disguised as advice. But dreams are not built from fear. They are built from faith. Quiet, steady, unshakable faith. And sometimes that faith requires you to hold your vision close to your chest, like a fragile ember, protecting it from the cold winds of judgment, negativity, and small-mindedness. We live in a world where people post their every move, where progress is often measured by how loudly it is broadcasted. But real progress, real transformation, it often happens in silence. It happens when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows. You're in the process of becoming. And that silence, that sacred space, is where strength is built. Because when no one knows what you're doing, no one can interrupt the flow. No one can pollute your process. No one can add their doubts to your clarity. That silence becomes your shield, your sanctuary, your secret space for creation. And there is so much power in that. And waking up each day, holding your dream like a secret prayer, working toward it without noise, without applause, without needing to prove anything to anyone. Because the truth is, your dreams don't need validation. They need dedication. They need action. They need love and time and faith. And most of all, they need your full presence, not your performance. There is also peace in knowing that you're not obligated to explain yourself to anyone, that you can move in your own rhythm, build at your own pace, and trust the process without external pressure. Because what's meant for you is not determined by how many people believe in it. It is determined by how deeply You believe in yourself when no one else does. Let the world see the results, not the rehearsal. Let them witness your rise, not your rough draft. Let them wonder how you did it, not criticize every step you take. Protect your vision like you would protect a candle in a storm, with both hands, gently, fiercely, silently. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You don't need to broadcast every step. You don't need to convince anyone of your capability. Just keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep watering the seed, even when it looks like nothing is growing, because in the quiet, beautiful things are taking root. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come when no one is watching. When you choose to keep going, even when no one says, I see you. Even when the world is silent, your soul must be loud. Your purpose must echo within you, and that echo, that knowing, is more powerful than any crowd's applause. So now, I live differently. I plan quietly. I dream silently. I move in stillness. And not because I don't believe in myself, but because I do so deeply, so fiercely, that I no longer need to shout. My soul is busy becoming. And when the time comes, the world will see, not because I told them, but because I showed them. You want to know why I stopped telling everyone my plans? Because silence taught me strength. Because somewhere along the way, I realized that the louder you speak about what you're going to do, the less energy you sometimes have left to actually do it. I realized that the more I talked, the more open I became to opinions, projections, doubts that weren't mine, but started feeling like they belonged to me. There's a freedom in silence that people often misunderstand. It's not secrecy. It's not fear. It's sacred focus. It's choosing to protect your energy, your vision, your peace. People love the idea of success, but not everyone can handle the process. And when you let people too close to that process too soon, you risk allowing them to drain the very fire that's meant to carry you through. Some people don't see your dreams through eyes of possibility. They see them through lenses of limitation. And not because you're not capable, but because they never gave themselves permission to dream like that. They've never tasted the kind of courage it takes to build something from nothing. So instead of supporting you, they doubt you. Instead of lifting you, they question you. And sometimes, even without realizing it, their words plant seeds of hesitation in your heart. That's why I learned to keep quiet. Not because I had nothing to say, but because... And one of them is the constant need to share. You are not behind because you're moving in silence. You are not invisible because you're not being loud. You are simply preparing, becoming, refining, and those who truly understand the journey will never question your silence. They'll respect it. Because they've been there too. They know that real power isn't broadcasted. It's cultivated. It's sharpened. It's felt. So walk your path with quiet confidence. Start your vision like a flame in the wind. And remember, you don't need to tell the world your plans. You need to show them your results. Speak with your effort. Let your discipline echo louder than your declarations. Let your transformation do the talking. Because when you rise in silence, your presence becomes undeniable. I had too much to protect. My vision, my process, my journey, these things became too precious to hand over for casual conversations. I realized that I didn't owe the world an explanation every time I decided to rise. I didn't need to justify my ambition, my silence, or my decisions. I am not here to be understood at every step. I'm here to become. And becoming requires space. Space to fall. Space to build. Space to breathe without the noise of outside expectations. You see, when you share your plans too soon, you invite resistance that isn't always yours. You carry the weight of opinions that don't belong to you. And worst of all, you sometimes start living your life to meet the expectations of others rather than fulfilling your own truth. But when you move in silence, you move freely. You make mistakes without judgment. You change direction without explanation. You grow without permission. And that's the kind of power that unsettles people. Because we live in a world that constantly asks for updates, for proof, for visibility. The real growth isn't always visible. It happens quietly beneath the surface, like roots digging deep before the flower ever blooms. Some people will misunderstand your silence. They'll think you've given up. They'll assume you've lost direction. Let them think what they want. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Because while they're busy watching for movement, you'll be busy creating momentum. And when the time is right, your results will speak with a volume that your words never could. There is a kind of peace that comes when you stop needing to announce every goal. You no longer need applause to feel accomplished. You don't need validation to move forward. You don't need a stage to believe in your vision. Because you've built that belief within yourself. And when you operate from that space, when you know who you are and where you're going, people feel it. They may not understand it, but they feel it. It's in the way you walk into a room. It's in the quiet fire in your eyes. It's in the way you no longer argue, no longer compete, no longer beg to be seen. Because you've seen yourself, you've honored your own journey, and that is enough. You don't owe anyone a performance. You don't have to be loud to be legendary. Some of the most powerful transformations happen in the shadows. Some of the most extraordinary ideas are born in silence. And some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who rise without saying a word. Because they've learned that stillness is not weakness. It's strategy. It's wisdom. It's strength. Let them talk about what they're doing. Let them post their plans. You focus on the work. You focus on building something so unshakable that when the world finally sees it, they'll have no choice but to ask, when did this happen? And you'll smile, not because you need to prove anything, but because you'll know it happened when no one was watching. It happened in the moments you were underestimated. It happened in the silence, in the solitude, in the commitment no one clapped for. It happened because you chose to protect your vision instead of perform it. When your mind becomes strong, you stop needing noise to feel important. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You don't need to explain why you've been quiet. You know the value of your focus. You understand that distractions wear many disguises.